Okay, so we're going to start a Beadable Sunrise ring today. And we're starting with a ring. We're going to start with 3mm gold balls and either 11 or 15 silver foil delica. Now you can do any kind of a tubular shaped bead. It doesn't necessarily have to be a delica. That's just what I chose for today. Now you take your thread and needle and you go up in through your mesh, go down through your mesh, and you knot in the center. Now you can start in the center. Once you knot it in the center, you can start in the center, you can start on the side. It doesn't really matter. It depends on the design you're working on. So here we went up through the center and we're going to pick beads. We're starting with one delica, one gold ball, one delica, one gold ball, and you interchange those until you get 4 of each on the needle. Pull all your beads to the ring, and as you see, I like to go wrap it around my finger and push the last bead back. And then I feed the needle all the way through all of the beads. And then when I get to the ring, I go to the next hole. I don't go back into the same hole. The next hole, doesn't matter which direction you go to, depending on where you're at in your ring. Pull all the way through and then knot. Now I always knot in the beginning just to give a foundation, strengthen it. If you really want it to be floppy and you don't want to knot, it's your call. But I find that sometimes it's the first few are tough, and it's good to get it started. Continue on. You're going to go through each and every hole, and you're going to do it a couple times. You just keep filling in. I call these columns. This is a straight column. You have a choice of either a looped column or a straight column when you're doing this kind of up design, as I call it. This one is a very simple design. You're using the same 2 beads, and you're going to make a lot of columns until you fill the top, until you make it as full as you want. So it's very simple. There's no thinking, there's no pattern. You just keep filling in. Now I like to work in a circle, or I like to give it a little bit of scatter. If you work in one section and you do a lot in one section, you tend to get a knot in that section because as you crisscross underneath, it will just build up. So you just kind of want to be somewhat aware of what's happening underneath while you're knotting. If you find you're getting knots in the center, then try to move to a side and just kind of watch where you're moving. If you, for whatever reason, get stuck and your knot is so huge that you can't put the ring on, then you might want to go back, cut them off, and start again. That's the nice thing about this. There is no wrong way to do it. If you get stuck somewhere, you can always cut it and start over again. Okay, so here we're probably about halfway through. As you see, it's starting to form the shape of a sunrise. And you just continue on making your columns as simple as possible, and you take your time, have fun with it. And if you really want to get crazy, you can add bigger beads to the top or colored beads. You can add gemstones. You could put a big stone in the center. For Halloween, I did one of these in all black and added a large black bead in the center, and it looked like a spider. I even added little orange beads to the tips like little feet. Okay, so now you're getting close to finished. So what you want to do is just kind of move your columns from side to side and look for the bald spots, I call them, where you can actually see the grid. I would say your design can stop and start anywhere you'd like, but it's kind of nice to get the grid covered. As you wear this ring, or as the person who owns it wears the ring, NYMO tends to stretch out a little bit, or any of the beading threads tend to stretch out a little bit, and especially with the heavier beads, and they tend to relax more. So eventually you'll see more of the grid. So even if you don't see it right away, that's why you want to kind of move things to the side. And if there is a grid, just keep adding more columns until you get it kind of filled in. Now basically, let's say you are finished, you've looked at it, you feel it's completely filled in, and you're ready to finish it off. Turn the ring upside down, make sure you do your last couple knots just to finalize it. Take a little piece of paper, put some super glue. I like the liquid glue. more so than like an E6000 that's more gel-like. This will actually soak in a little bit more into the fibers and give it a little bit more strength. I take the tip of my needle and I just dab all the knots as well as possible. And you can look at it and see that they're all wet. They tend to be a little bit darker once it's coated properly. And you just keep doing it until you get it all covered with your needle. Okay, so once the glue has dried on the underside, you want to add the little flocked piece of material that is cut to fit the back side of that ring, the little recess in the ring. So what you do is you go in, once your threads are all dry, trim them off, make sure that it's not sticking up too far anywhere, and you put glue on the little flock piece. Make sure you got enough glue on your threads. It doesn't hurt to add just a tad more. And then the flock piece, you can either put super glue or you can add E6000. You can do even a rubber cement will hold nicely. And it's kind of a little bit tacky. A little gooier glue works kind of nice on this. It makes it so it doesn't move as much and it kind of holds it into place while it's drying. So you just put it in there. I use tweezers. I guess it depends on whatever your comfort level is. And you just fit it in there. Now the ring is a little bit more of an oval underneath, so you probably want to see which direction it should go in before you put the glue on. Test it out, and then that way when you put it in, you just remember which way is the wider side. I use the tip of the tweezers just to push it down slightly, not too hard, and keeping in mind if you put too much glue or you use a liquid glue, the liquid glue can go actually into the columns and making them very stiff. And you don't want that. You want to have some movement. If for some reason you do want that, that's fine, but just know that they can break off. You're better off using a wire instead of an IMO or a Ceylon thread. Okay, so flip your ring over, try it on, see how it looks. Brush it a little bit, kind of flop the beads back and forth. Slip it onto your mandrel and just slide it down to the side, rolling it back and forth until you hit the size you want for yourself or for a client. Well, thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed our beading session today. Find this project and more at dbeads.com. And thanks for watching.